I was just sitting out here at McDonald's and I saw this shadowy figure of a man standing in the woods over here. And then I saw that he was walking a dog that was shaped like a pug and a chow. It was large like a chow, but its fur and tail were a little more like a pug. And then I saw him meet up with a woman, and I saw him with this large rolling cooler, like an igloo cooler. Then I saw another. They left, or somehow they left. I'm a bad eyewitness, but then I saw these two people come in from the parking lot that I was just facing, Pep Boys, and they had backpacks on, and also I know for certain a woman had another little like lunch pail cooler attached to her thing. Well, I've been seeing this a lot. I've been seeing it a lot where they have this, I think they're doing basically some kind of like leave your specimen at the motel sample thing, because I saw it a lot at the Ramada Plaza and not so much at the Motel 6, but I have seen it at the Motel 6 where I think they are I think they're getting men's semen samples and stealing women's eggs and petri dishing up a bunch of benefactors and doing all kinds of DNA testing, most especially on freebies like the homeless, and taking full advantage of the homeless especially, or people that are staying in these places, and then they have maybe this poor student who's willing to go to do medical testing, experimental testing, and students or military personnel who are willing to cure the common cold, for example, and proceed to who knows what they've signed up for. Then I guess they've made newness of life an absolute dangerous hellhole, and placations in here is this quiet, peaceful, beautiful weather place. But what am I in every realm? Thin blue line, just about. I mean, you still have to know some emergency medicine, but enough to get the person to the to a paramedic or a doctor or whatever. And so I just wanted to say I observed that. I was thinking of getting phone service, and this little magnetic thing that's attached to my dashboard is a pretty awesome way to have live, if I got phone service, have a live dashboard cam without paying a lot of money. Then it's a live feed. It keeps track of my driving and keeps me honest. And then at the same time, if anything happens on the road, it's recorded live, and I could sit and do my own little broadcast while I drive around. And then say I want to promote a business by going inside and using their services for lunch, or I got to go over to Walmart and get a few things. Well, if I can't have the camera running, I can do something where it's audio and video combined, then go home and add it all into one. And it's sort of like, hey, here's a better option for somebody who maybe they got into a little bit of trouble, and the government does kind of need to keep eyes on them. Not that I'm one of those people. I'm really not trouble. I'm just somebody who had global clearance, who they tried to keep local. And they tried every which way to keep me local, and somehow I was able to convey to some politicians that I was a conduit for one man in Scientology, and a bunch of people decided to steal me, and then he would win me back and just play games with me. So you use Solomon's wisdom. Solomon's wisdom is, whose conduit is she? Well, I'm going to tear her apart. I'm going to pull her apart at the limbs and see who's in the most distress about it. It had to do with a mother and her child, whether or not who was the true mother to an infant. But if you wanted to use Solomon's wisdom applied, then who cares the most about this conduit? And this, I'm using the term as what they called it, a person, a means to access another world around them, for example, or for other, I don't know, potential wife. But until then, it is how they ran this area, and I'm just using their terminology. But to have somebody who takes care of either conduit, their friend, their associate. I heard one man say, I was friends with my conduit, and I'm not sure what they use him for entirely, but I was friends with him, and now he's being told he's in a safe area, and he's not in a safe area, and I can't access him, and he's being robbed of his money, and they are in great distress because they cared for these people, but for some reason it was sort of like they get something out of it. I don't know. I mean, if somebody were to just talk about it, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how, at least in the very least, we'd be like, oh, all right, I didn't know it was like that. But I mean, you always could tell that there was something different. And it's not only police, but we're talking about like people and how they even behave. Used to think it was some sort of a safety thing to have the way a certain person stands or is seated. Well, a lot of them don't even have peripheral vision, and sometimes they require a conduit because they didn't know. They were basically told, this is how it is, and they just always, throughout the generations, knew it as that. So, but through a conduit, they can see, see better, drive better, see, and so, believe it or not, sometimes they're like, if I could be like them, if I could be like a conduit, then I would be a better driver. But for some reason, it puts them out of this elite group. So it's a different form of bondage, that it's sort of like they need the conduit, but the conduit needs them like a hole in the head. And so they keep it quiet. Other times, it's just entirely different, where it has to do with, well, we're in a totally special realm altogether, and in that realm we cannot defecate. There is no bathrooms, so we use a conduit to defecate through any impurities in their bodies. Well, that is when you placate the vegetables. You don't harm anybody, but if any harm has ever come to somebody and they were maybe in a coma or in a vegetable-like state, it's a crude way of saying it, but you don't wrangle a functioning person or step on their bladder until they go to the bathroom for you. All right. And that is the type of person that I am dealing with personally. I don't need to monitor I don't need to monitor what I'm drinking and eating. They need to understand that I am a free-thinking and self-aware person. That I am also a self-willed, and you just don't do that. So these are the sickest criminals, and I don't know how to access them. They could be standing right in front of me, standing on my bladder, and I wouldn't even know. So how helpless I feel. I mean, I just feel, I'm looking around the room for the most guiltiest face so that I can slap it and be like, get off me. So these people have been let out. I know it. I mean, I can't prove it, but I know they've been let out of government-controlled state hospitals to do this to me and many other residents of these areas, to drive them absolutely buggy, to drive them up the wall until they throw themselves off a building or throw themselves into the street. And they are what is called placators. And throughout this whole journey, I've discovered that there are what's called precators, and I could easily be mistaken for one because I was a very outspoken Christian. It's not that I fear this mistreatment that I'm quieter. I've been quieted in my outspokenness because of my belligerence, the things that I have said while demons have passed in and out of me, as well as these people in spirit form, shouting things, being run down, as I've said, like a deer being run down by a pack of wild dogs. So I'm dealing with the spiritual, the physical, and also the fact that I believe in 1999, suffered a head injury, and around the same time I was either going or thinking of going to become either a paramedic or a police officer. But for whatever reason, they had to follow through with their obligations, and whatever it was, I'm guessing, say you have to test out to see if you would could tolerate pepper spray. I've heard of some academies spraying the cadets in the face with pepper spray so they know how it feels. Or maybe they give you a dose of like crazy juice, so you go to a mental hospital so you know what it's like to be a little bit crazy, so you're more soft-hearted, but at the same time firm enough to protect yourself if necessary. So you have a little taste of what it's like. But somebody decided to give me a big gulp and two for flinching of what it's like to go a little crazy. And it's taken 25 years for it to dissipate in my system, but that it's still there. And so I've got a lot of things happening, and I still think I qualify for Social Security disability. But I'm telling you right now, if I could, I'd have a regular job. But everybody is so, they know that these realms have been revealed. They know that they've been accessed by the everyday person who's angry and or opportunistic. So it's, I'm God, and for whatever reason, they're able to tap into your soul, or at least your mind, enough to make you believe it, to the point where you walk away from your whole fortune, your house, everything. Just walk away and leave everything for somebody to take over. So it's a different form of terrorism, and I believe that if I ever needed to feel like I was doing my duty for my country, then I've done it. But I am a civilian, and I just want to live a more private life. And I feel like because these realms have been opened up, and especially to the criminal, to the true form of the word criminally insane, that for whatever reason they seem to function fairly okay so long as they get their taste of blood every day, then somebody has a gun to their head that they can't seal them up. And so I would start to look into these things that they closed up so that certain police couldn't get in or certain personnel couldn't get in, and they opened them wide open for everybody to run through like it's Disney and nobody's watching, and everybody has instructions on how to run the rides. So I'm just somebody that's used to blabbing about a lot of things. For years, everybody confided in me for just to tell me the usual troubles, and they could take my advice or leave it. But now it's my turn to say, I think the powers and principalities have a problem now, because I was just telling a homeless man on the street that I've seen little circular burn marks on the lips of some of the people working at DSS, and that's an indication that they smoke a crack pipe or a meth pipe, or they're smoking something through a certain kind of a lighter that can like burn your lips. I see dry mouth, cotton mouth on my probation officer. So in a way, it's sort of like, hey, I did get into a little bit of trouble, but they are holding on to me like I'm their life preserver. And so I really think that other states, or even a rival country, but who is part of the United Nations, could really clear up their bad reputation with the rest of the earth if they recognize that something is happening around here and they are not responsible. For one thing, it's pretty important to say that, hey, we didn't do this, but we are observing this or that. Because I know that another group from, I believe, Saudi Arabia has observed what I've described. Maybe they only heard it, but it looked like they were in a room where they were observing something through glass. And when I said, yeah, well, just so you know, if you think you're coming in here to rob a bunch of people, you might. But while you're pulling something out of their pocket, somebody's pulling something out of your pocket at the same exact time. And the truth is, nobody who's in here to rob anybody they're not prospering anywhere. They're not getting up and out. They might get a slightly better car, a worse reputation, so they get a little bit more respect. But I don't even see them really doing that much better. So it's not worth it. It's probably best to hope that big bad thing that you were hoping would go away. Keep putting distance between you and that bad thing and live a peaceful life, and then just say, hey, I changed my ways, and maybe something good will happen for you for it. I don't trust the powers and principalities today, not because they are not good people sometimes, but because they probably have a gun to their head and nobody's really recognizing it. Nobody's really saying, why are the police wearing short sleeves in October, and why are they covered in tattoos? I mean, a lot of them have beards. Are there tattoos on their lower half of their face? And are they covering up some form of hijacking or domestic terrorism that's happened to these local police, and that it could cost them their life unless the immediate military, what I mean is an immediate military action isn't taken to immediately get, without prejudice, everybody out in an orderly fashion, like the evacuation, similarly to the evacuation of 3 Mile Island. So that people aren't concerned about their property if certain groups go out, but at the same time, they can rest assured that everybody's out safely, and they can assess the situation via a proper conference that everybody, and even if it's live, no delay, can watch equally as in the this is America. I mean, we shouldn't have anything non-disclosed to us, because I mean, this is a concern for everybody around the earth, because if it's happening here, it could happen somewhere else. And I've gone into 20 minutes, so this will probably be deleted, but at least I can practice what this is all about and see about. I don't know. I used to be able to go live, but because I outed Bethesda House for their parasite that they got in their tummy, I think I lost some sort of freedom to go live. I could try Twitter live, see if the camera can face out to the road, and I'll just talk while I drive. It'll be my talk show. Rachel Depp, civilian Depp, never was a soldier, had to be my own cop. I had to be my own, a little bit of everything these past 10 years, so I think I'm qualified.